One thing Russell said on his panel is that Cannes is not the destination. But for a lot of young faces in this room, Cannes is. It still is the benchmark for global creativity. It's still the place where you can understand how creativity changes across borders. And we have some first-hand experience today of a young creative who went to Cannes, and she's come back to tell us about her experience. But I'm not going to be moderating this chat. I'm just a timekeeper. Today, what we decided to do is have an advertising student ask her the important questions, and vice versa. So just to set a little bit of context, when I was talking to Saachi, who is a returnee from Cannes, one of the things she said, uh, it really stood out to me, is you have to push through the chaos and self-doubt before getting to something honest. I think most creatives who've ever worked on a brief recognize this feeling. It's also reflective of the industry we're in. We're in a moment of upheaval. We've seen a restructuring, not just of agencies, but of capabilities, of job functions. As AI is embedded into workflows, everybody from the client to the marketer to the agency to the copywriter is asking tougher questions. But what's interesting, and what we saw at Cannes this year, is for an industry increasingly obsessed with optimization, predictive analytics, and automation, the strongest ideas are often the ones that are the most simple, ingenuous. If you look at some of the Grand Prix wins, it's ideas that could have come from no one else, and it was something so simple that no one thought to ask. But they rarely emerge from certainty. More often, those ideas are the ones that survive confusion long enough to recognize what deserves to stay. I think that's a lesson that the industry can learn, how to recognize what deserves to stay, and what better way to learn at that than from fresh eyes who are navigating the chaos firsthand. So over to you guys. This is going to be a little bit unscripted. Let's keep it light for all the people in the room. So let's start with Aditi. How would you describe what Cannes means to you in 3 words?
I think can for me would be creativity, obviously, opportunity, and diversity.
What about you, Saachi?
Thank you, Shannon, first of all. For me, I think it's slightly different. My 3 words would be take me back. Okay, so yeah, that's a candid experience that me and my partner, we had at Cannes. So yeah.
These are amazing pictures. I almost have FOMO for not being there. But what was it like representing India on a global stage?
Okay, so the first feeling was excitement and a little bit of intimidation because the scale is so huge that, I mean, even though you're, it doesn't matter how old you are, but then you still feel a little intimidated when you're representing your country at such a global stage. But after that feeling was digested, the next immediate feeling was a sense of responsibility. And it wasn't my dream, it wasn't about me, it wasn't about my partner anymore, it was about putting your best work out there for the country and doing the best work for India.
Yeah,
So,
I can only imagine how tough it must have been. So from what I hear, you got around 24 hours after receiving the brief to strategize the entire idea and, crack the big idea. So what was your exact 30 minutes right after receiving the brief? Panic, excitement,
Sorry,
research?
just to continue, for those, I think I missed this in my introduction, the competition that Saachi participated in last year is one where they invite global creatives from all across the world, young creatives, so under 30, to participate in teams of 2 in certain categories. You have digital, media, PR. Saachi and her partner participated in digital, and they were against 230 teams from 67 countries. So that tells you the scale of young creatives. Yeah, so go ahead.
so to answer your question, it was very intense because, first of all, you are given a real world brief and you are given very limited time to crack that brief. So the initial reaction was panic. Okay, where do we start? What do we do? But then we started to understand the brief. We did a few research to understand the problem and so yeah, understanding the brief, researching about the problem, and so the key that I found to cracking any brief was to find that one hook that the brief gives you, and there's always a hook. And for us, the hook was that to create a globally sensational campaign for the Gen Zs, and which will like create a buzz, and basically to have the Gen Zs participate in a movement and to solve the problem. And our problem was to stop the extinction of wild bees. But yeah, I won't go into details of that. But yeah, speaking about Gen Zs, what do you think, like as a Gen Z, what do you think if you were at Cannes and you were to brief the creative team at Cannes, what would you tell them about our generation? Like, what would
Okay.
you brief them?
So, firstly, I feel a lot of times Gen Zs are sort of excluded from the entire community. We are like Gen Zs. I would like to say there is no need for apostrophes. And lastly, oftentimes, because of this demarcation, a lot of things we see seems forced. But one should know that Gen Zs are smart enough. We are very inclusive, and we know when something is, trend changing or forced. So what we value the most is originality, authenticity. If a brand is consistently talking about who they are, we will value it even if it's different, because one thing that stands out is we are evolving and we are very inclusive.
And speaking of campaigns, according to you, what do you think, like, what kind of campaigns would make you stop scrolling?
Firstly, if a campaign is too good, then I'll be thinking, why didn't I think of it? But other than that, two things stand out the most. One is nostalgia driven. For example, I am at the not the peak of my adulting, but I'm like transitioning into being an adult, and I see a lot of things, a lot of emotions that happens when you are in this phase. Aging parents, sense of responsibility, so many things, what to do, what not to do. And what becomes a safe space for me is something that gives me warmth, which is my past, me as a child. So any nostalgia driven ad will make me stop scrolling, because for those brief minutes, it gives me a hit of dopamine and I want to just stay there. That is my answer.
Yeah. I feel like it's a very, I mean, I agree with you because I feel we resonate better with things that make you feel, you relate with them.
Agreed.
I feel like even like the campaigns that I also like the most is also the ones where I can relate with the problem or, yeah, like the solution just like solves what I was feeling. So yeah, I agree.
One of them could be Share the Load campaign by AJ.
Yeah. So, you're a digital marketing student. Have you, like, in your classes, have you been taught to be a marketer, a creator, or a business strategist?
Okay, so I think in class we are taught to be leaders. We think from a very, very overarching point of view, trying to see the big picture. We see that, nothing works in isolation. We are taught to be P&L managers, that is synonymous to brand managers, wherein we see how all these three things become integral part of marketing in general and what we are doing in order to get the right outcome. Actually, I would like to talk about one of the instances or the projects that we are doing. We were asked to go to any small business and try to make a campaign for them for 2 months, running on Instagram, free of cost, right? This has been a trending project that we've been doing, and last year there were small businesses for whom campaigns were run and they generated money out of it. So when we see these things and we see business outcomes coming out of these little actions, it motivates us and it tells us that, all right, we got to focus to all elements and check on the three that you mentioned.
And speaking of like business collaborations and cultures and communities, what do you, sorry, as a, like, do you see
So
yourself?
clearly the script went a little off.
Yeah.
We wanted to connect it to business outcomes because that is something that every agency and marketer is being asked out about today. What is my ROI? What is this campaign doing? And it's really encouraging to hear that at Aditi school, they're doing this real life. They're doing real life campaigns. They're watching the ROI. From such a young age, they're already so focused on the brand business outcome. So for them, it's not brief to creative output, it's brief to business outcome directly, which is something that Saachi can speak about from her can experience.
Yeah. So I feel. Sorry, what was the question?
Business outcomes at
Yeah.
can.
So I feel at Can, powerful storytelling is not enough. Like I feel powerful storytelling backed with measurable impact and yeah, like positive business outcomes is something that work at Can, like according to my experience.
Was there any work that stood out to you? You because you went to the basement in Can, you were looking
Yeah.
at all of the work. Is there any particular one that stood out to you?
Honestly, I was too overwhelmed because I mean there was like I still remember walking in and I saw these multiple panels and of idea boards, and it was printed like back in front. So like we used to walk here, we used to see like 10 and then walk again 20. So it was really overwhelming. So I don't remember one particular campaign, but then I feel like whatever I saw has taught me so much because I feel uh, that something that stands out at Can is simplicity. As also our panelists which mentioned that the simplest idea is actually the one that works the most and resonates with the audience the most. So yeah, simplicity, like I think that's what I saw in whatever work that I saw at Can.
I have a follow-up question on that. Now that you competed with young creatives across the globe, what is it that you felt is something that India does better, and what is something that India can adapt looking at, creatives from all across the globe?
Okay, so as I mentioned, I feel the one thing that India does the best is cultural storytelling because India as a country, we are so diverse, and I feel every part of India has some or the other cultural roots or like some roots, and because of which we are feel like we're so good at storytelling. So yeah, that. Yeah, I feel like one example which I could think of right now would be all of these campaigns which were shown earlier. Everything was so culturally rooted. So I think that's what India does the best.
All right, good to know. And what was it like competing with young creatives?
Oh, so I feel this one incident that I remember that before the competition, we were all hanging out at the Can beach and we had forgotten about the competition. We were just chilling. We had like a few drinks and so yeah, so we were all chilling and we had almost forgotten about the competition because we were so intrigued about learning about each other's culture. And that's where we found out that some people from Ireland, they actually knew what the whole Gopi Ben and the laptop sukhane wala, they know that. So that's how far our Indian culture has taken us, I feel. So yeah, so summing up my point, we all had like forgotten about the competition. It was not about India versus Ireland, India versus South Korea. We were all one. We were all friends, and we were actually talking. We were actually discussing about a lot of insights. So yeah, it was very warm and it was very hospitable, I think. Yeah.
Can I do a follow-up question to that?
Yes.
Since you hung out with them and you understood their culture and they told you about their markets, do you think if we transported young creatives from India to another country, how would they survive in there and do good work there?
Definitely. I mean, we have it in us, right? We have the fire, we have the hunger for it. We can definitely do it.
It's pretty wholesome to know, honestly. Going to a competition and then doesn't feel like being a part of it.
Yeah, I think that's the best part about Can. It feels so inclusive and networking doesn't feel like networking. Like I was so scared of talking to people, but then at Can we were just standing in a queue and just started talking to people, and then we made contacts. It was super easy and super like I don't know. People were very like the biggest CCOs, CEOs were there, but then they were ready to have a conversation with you over a cup of coffee. So yeah, it was such real.
So basically, real connections over part networking
Yeah.
here. Yeah, you were saying?
Uh, why don't you tell us some of the learnings from Can? Like, what is the trend you saw? For example, AI dominated conversations this year. If you could tell us that.
Um, so AI is inevitable. I mean, everyone like you, everyone uses AI. We all like even when we were at Cannes, we were given access to Adobe, Microsoft, Firefly, everything. So we were asked to use AI in our campaigns. But what I feel is that the human creativity is still has an upper hand over AI. Like, and you can use AI for your execution, but then the underlying inside the underlying idea has to be human, so that it could, connect with the audience. So I think that is what I learned, that even though AI has grown a lot, it is very close to replacing creatives, but I feel like no. We still have that touch. We still have our experiences. Because I mean, the problem is the same, but then the experience that I come with and what she comes with is different. So that I feel no AI, no machine can copy.
Aditi?
For me, honestly, AI is definitely making things faster to break a campaign, or I can understand the way how I learn is being catered by AI. But other than that, you know, nothing beats emotions and lived experiences.
So when you're breaking down a brief for a case study in your classroom, how much of AI and how much of
Oh, aggressively. If I start, so my pattern is to first put it in AI to get a gist so that I know what I have to look at. And when I read through the case study or anything, I read it with more intent, and that way my recollection is better. But additionally, for any creative thing, if I have a writer's block or say any creative block, I AI helps me in filling the blank pages, and then it gives me a momentum, and then I pick up work faster because MBA is all about a very fast paced life. That's where AI helps me a lot.
I agree. I think AI helps with writer's block. It's possibly the only good thing about it, but
Just the starter, guys, nothing else. Okay, let's do a quick rapid fire to close. All right?
Okay.
You have 30 seconds to answer.
One question.
One question.
Done.
Okay.
Who's
Yo-
timing me? I'm kidding. I'm kidding.
Two do's and don'ts and can'ts.
Oh, okay. So do network, one. Second is do wear comfortable footwear. I made a mistake of choosing fashion over functionality. So comfortable footwear, yes. First don't would be, I might sound like my mom right now, but Cannes is not a party. There will be drinks, there are bars around, but then it's not a vacation. I think it's a workcation, so I think treat it that way. The second don't would be the can competition is very intense, it's very rigorous, and it puts you in so much pressure that you might end up in a conflict. So with your partner, so just try avoiding that, and then keep your ego aside would be.
that's actually a very good insight for most people in the agencies. I think we've all know conflict.
Okay, your biggest takeaway from Can.
Be original, be authentic, and I feel come up with ideas that you think is unique and not what the industry wants you to, think of. So yeah, be original, be unique.
Okay, one mindset that you wish young marketers in India would adopt.
Um, I feel be curious and don't think like don't go for the smartest answer. Think of asking better questions. I feel like the biggest creatives that I've met till date, they were all curious and they asked the most. Like they kept asking questions. So I think yeah, be curious.
All right. And what about students? If they want to compete on the global stage, one thing they should start doing today.
So one thing that I used to do was maintaining a journal, and yeah, I feel like young creatives should also have a journal, and then whatever random insights you get while showering or while sleeping in the middle of the night, just keep a note of it, so that because ideas don't come overnight, you need years of thinking about insights, and then finally something clicks
So
from
that's
somewhere.
actually a very good way. So how often do you go back to your journal in order to crack insights?
So, I mean, the agency life is a little, let's say, hectic. So, I mean, whenever I feel I have a creative block and then I feel like I need some, um you know, thinking and like brainstorming to do to remove, like get myself out of the creative block, I go to my notes app. There's a section where I have written all of my insights and ideas. So, yeah, I think quite often sometimes.
That's very sweet.
Okay, and on that note, I think maybe we should open it up for audience questions. Um, I'm hoping that was still on time. Okay, this is from Abhishek, at an account director with Concept PR. With AI rapidly changing, what type of creative work do you believe will win at Cannes over the next few years? I think this could go to both of you, because I think you've both tracked Cannes from Instagram and from being there.
I feel for me, my answer would still be the same. AI campaigns with a human truth or like a human insight attached with it is something that will win, because I feel the one that won recently, the Don't Look Up campaign, which, I mean, the insight was so real and it was so human, but the execution was a little bit AI. So, like, I feel like those two
Okay.
will win.
My take on this would be insights should come from humans because that's when the uniqueness will lie. But there are a lot of sub ideas, hygiene level ideas that one might need to boost or elevate the broader campaign. Those things can be, run through AI. And other than that, I feel in form of tech, that Cadbury ad that we saw, and in general, if someone is that tech savvy, they can integrate AI there too.
Okay. Any other questions? Okay. So on that note, I think we'll end this. Thanks so much.
Thank you,
Thank you.
Shannon.
Thank you
Thanks,
so
Saachi.
much.